Alright, what do we have here? We got, what is this? A couple of pigs ricocheting a piglet into the sky with a trampoline. Wow, this is some genuinely crazy Japanese nonsense. In fact, I think the only way to make sense of this stuff is to play a little game called 6 Degrees of Pong. So grab a notepad and play along, Undertoads. This is Plump Pop, which is basically just a prettier version of the 1977 arcade game Circus. Which we'll charitably refer to as largely inspired by the 1976 classic Breakout, which was heavily influenced by Pong. The take-home lesson is that Plump Pop isn't very original. Well, that and that every game is basically a ripoff of Pong. Even the game we just played, 6 Degrees of Pong, can be traced back to Pong. It's based on the Hungarian theory on the world's figurative shrinking due to technology's effect on social interaction, a theory popularized by its application to actor Kevin Bacon, whose favorite game is Pong. I mean, if your mind isn't blown, you just haven't been listening. Plump Pop released to arcades in 1987, but you'd be forgiven for not knowing that. The game never came to the United States, and a big reason for that may have been the aforementioned aesthetic oddities. This is a game that could have only made sense in Japan. In fact, it's probably a little too Japanese to have appealed to any sizable audience beyond the land of the rising sun. Or, you know, the rising bread, as in bread that levitates. And yet, as interesting as Plump Pop is visually, the core game design is about as ordinary as it gets. You start by choosing between 3 character sets, a pair of either dogs, cats, or pigs. Again, it's totally random and totally bizarre, but functionally, they're all the same. You're basically just choosing sprites, and they have no effect on the game itself. Plump Pop is the same degree of weird whether you go with man's best friend or one of man's favorite dinners. You control a pair of the animals of your choice, and they patrol the bottom of the screen with a trampoline. And it's your job to keep their offspring bouncing into the air to attack everything from flying saucers to those loaves of bread and even disembodied bird heads. If you've played Breakout or Arkanoid or any of the countless clones those classics have inspired, you've basically played much better versions of Plump Pop. The reason those games are better is that Plump Pop has a few critical design flaws. Breakout and Arkanoid get progressively more difficult, but Plump Pop is different. This game is tough because it's tough to play. The controls are kind of sticky, and since your young projectile bounces so quickly, that's a real problem. Moving your characters with the speed and precision the game requires is virtually impossible. There's just way too much floating stuff on the screen, and it often sends your baby hurling back toward the ground faster than the controls allow you to react. Despite its just painfully cute appearance, Plump Pop is absolutely brutal the moment you take control, and it stays that way until asking you for more quarters. Which is, at its longest, usually just the span of a few minutes. It's kind of unfortunate too, because Plump Pop is an otherwise cool game. It looks great and there are some really cool boss battles and bonus levels to break things up. But that stuff doesn't mean much when the game is just prohibitively difficult to play. Plump Pop has a lot of wind at its back, but unfortunately, its appeal quickly drifts away.